champions, the Aces and the Liberty. This was a rematch of last year's WNBA finals. So two very hyped up teams, two of the premier teams in the league, defending champions on the floor, drew an audience of 929,000, according to ESPN. That is 50% less than
The figures from the WNBA playoffs without Caitlin Clark are shocking. They're crashing and burning in a way that nobody anticipated. How could a single player's departure result in such a sharp decline in attendance and ratings?
Jamel Hill said. It's a bit of a convoluted statement. She said, I keep seeing irresponsible headlines claiming the WNBA playoffs are down because of no Caitlin Clark. Would the ratings be higher if she were in it? Of course. But guess what? A finals would rate higher if it were LeBron versus Steph, or if the big market teams were in the mix. So what? That's the headline. Okay, so let's take her statement and try to evaluate it, because it doesn't really make so much sense just reading it as she presented it. One, she mentions big market teams if they were in the mix. Well, they were, because we had the Aces in the Liberty, which defend.
Caitlin Clark's absence is the reason for this league catastrophe. But why is her impact so significant? What went wrong? And how will the WNBA recover?
Continually took the high road, and the ratings were phenomenal because of Caitlin Clark. She didn't want to take credit for all of those ratings, but we all realize that Caitlin Clark single-handedly is responsible for the WNBA mattering this season. I know that might sound like a little.
Without Clark, the playoffs have been a terrible match. Just 929,000 people watched one of the Liberty versus Aces semifinals, which is a significant decrease from earlier games when Clark was playing. To put things in perspective, the Heat the Sun game with Clark attracted 3.4 million viewers. The contrast is striking, and it clearly depicts life without Caitlin Clark. The WNBA is having trouble retaining supporters, and it's not only TV ratings that have suffered. Attendance at games has also decreased, indicating that Clark wasn't only drawing in TV viewers, she was also packing seats. What makes her so unique, then? Let's investigate why the WNBA is disintegrating in her absence. Caitlin Clark is not your typical athlete. In addition to being a fantastic player, she was a game-changing figure during her historic debut season, breaking record after record and illuminating the league in ways no one could have imagined. Clark led the league in assists and three-pointers with an average of 19.2 points per game and 8.4 assists. Not only was she a rookie, but she was also the player to watch in the entire league, drawing an average of 1.78 million viewers when she was playing. The numbers don't lie, SOS, and that's a significant difference that shows how much of an impact she had on the WNBA's ratings. Her games weren't just events, they were must-watch television. Clark was the driving force behind the league's success, and now that she is out of the playoffs, the WNBA is finding it difficult to maintain the momentum. But Clark's influence extended beyond the court. Her jersey became the best-selling rookie jersey in WNBA history, and fans weren't just watching her, they were actually purchasing merchandise with her on it, making her the best-selling WNBA player in terms of merch sales. The Clark effect wasn't just about TV ratings. It was about increasing the visibility and marketability of the entire WNBA. Her influence peaked throughout the playoffs. It became evident that Clark was the main factor behind the league's rising popularity when her first playoff game drew 84 million viewers, breaking the previous record for WNBA playoff viewership since 2000, and her second playoff game drew an incredible 3.4 million viewers.
The league. In the Indiana Fever, president Allison Barber revealed this request made by Clark during the season. Listen.
After a few away games and all of the sellouts, Caitlin asked the WNBA if they would pay spot bonuses to the away team players. She said, wow. We're making all this new revenue, and I would like the away team to benefit from that. Could they get a spot bonus? So that's the heart of Caitlin Clark. I mean, that's a classy, amazing person.
So, but it's absolutely.
The answer was no, by the way, because it's a collective bargaining agreement.
Her teammates were also aware of this. Kelsey Mitchell provided the ideal summary. The truth is that I doubt anyone would recognize us without Caitlin. The WNBA is now facing a difficult question. How do they keep people watching? The league's ratings are falling, and the excitement surrounding the playoffs has faded without their golden goose. The WNBA is struggling to maintain interest as the league learns the hard way just how dependent they've become on one player, which leads us to the controversy surrounding Clark's exit from the playoffs. Clark wasn't just playing for herself. She was putting her entire team and the WNBA as a whole on the map by attracting new fans, many of whom had never heard of the league before. She was eliminated by a combination of referee turmoil and plain contempt, not just bad luck or subpar play. The Ipook moment in the first playoff game was one of the most talked about moments. Fans were incensed, and justifiably so, when Clark was brutally struck in the eye, but surprisingly, no foul was called. How could the refs have missed such a clear infraction, especially on a player as significant as Clark? Many believed that Clark had been unfairly singled out throughout the season with rough play to try to slow her down. In fact, she received 177% more flagrant fouls than any other player in the league. It was evident that teams were making fun of her, and the referees weren't doing enough to protect her, which raised serious concerns about how the WNBA handles its top players. The incident sparked discussions about player safety and the caliber of officiating in the league. Clark was improving the league on her own, but the WNBA failed to defend her when it came time. When Clark won Rookie of the Year, a title she clearly deserved, the league's handling of the award left fans perplexed. Instead of a lavish ceremony to celebrate her accomplishments, the WNBA chose to make a simple phone call. That's right, the poke was just the most recent instance of how Clark was being mistreated on the court, and fans were furious and wanted to see the league take action to ensure that its brightest star wasn't being unfairly targeted. Fans and the media were perplexed as to why Clark, a player who had contributed more to the league in a single season than many do in their whole careers, wasn't even given a formal award ceremony. How could the unbeaten pass up this fantastic chance to honor its new star? The WNBA had a once-in-a-generation talent in Caitlin Clark, but they appeared ill-prepared to handle the momentum she brought. From failing to protect her on the court to handling her Rookie of the Year announcement poorly, the WNBA demonstrated that it wasn't prepared for the attention and scrutiny that comes with having a superstar like Clark. It's evident from the current playoff situation that the WNBA is facing an uphill battle without Clark. The league's ratings have plummeted, and the excitement surrounding the playoffs has virtually vanished. Even though the WNBA is having trouble keeping fans interested, other teams are stepping up and attempting to fill the void left by Clark's absence. The Indiana Fever, despite their early elimination from the playoffs, have demonstrated that building around young talent and a happy team can create long-term success. But the question remains, can they do it without the star power that Clark brought to the table? ESPN has even moved some of the playoff games to ESPN2, a sign that they expect even lower viewership as the playoffs continue. Now that Caitlin Clark is out of the playoffs, the WNBA is at a crossroads. They must figure out how to maintain the interest that Clark generated while also creating a more sustainable future for the league. It's not just about one player, it's about creating a product that fans want to watch even when their favorite stars aren't on the court. The NBA is suffering from the harsh reality that they were heavily relying on one player to carry them. However, the ratings aren't the only thing that is raising concerns. There are deeper issues at play here, and the WNBA must address them if they want to secure a sustainable future. Let's talk about the fallout from Caitlin Clark's early playoff exit. Her absence not only hurt the WNBA's viewership numbers, but also revealed a serious weakness in the league. The WNBA has always struggled to maintain steady fan interest, and Clark's first season gave fans hope that things were improving. However, now that she's gone, the league is facing a difficult question. How can they maintain that momentum going without Clark? The playoffs have been a tough sell. Fans who tuned in to watch her aren't staying to watch the remaining teams compete, and it's evident that the WNBA hasn't yet found a way to fill the void left by her departure. The league was riding high on the Clark effect, but they're realizing how fleeting that success was. There must be a stronger foundation to keep fans interested. Depending just on one player to carry the league is insufficient. This leads us to the WNBA's main problem: how to promote the league. The Caitlin Clark phenomena demonstrated the league's capacity to draw attention outside of its elite players, but it also revealed a problem: the WNBA has had difficulty fostering sustained fan involvement. Beyond its best players, this isn't only a WNBA problem. Numerous sports leagues depend on star players to generate interest, but for the WNBA, it's become a noticeable problem. Without Clark, the league has lost its biggest attraction, and it's unclear how they'll retain followers. The WNBA has been heavily criticized for how it manages player safety, especially with regard to safeguarding its stars. We witnessed this during Caitlin Clark's season, particularly during the playoffs. The league's failure to safeguard one of its most valued players was exemplified by the infamous eye poke incident. Throughout the season, Clark was frequently singled out by opponents, and the referees frequently appeared hesitant to intervene and call fouls. This led to serious concerns about how the WNBA treats its star players and whether the league is doing enough to protect them from overly aggressive defenses for a league that is trying to grow and attract more fans. Clark also suffered a brutal blow to her eye, and the fact that no foul was called left fans and analysts doubting the quality of officiating in the WNBA. This type of disregard is a serious issue, but the WNBA also needs to address consistency in officiating. Fans want to see fair and consistent rulings, especially in games with high stakes like the playoffs. Fans who believe the league isn't doing enough to guarantee a level playing field are irritated by the lack of calls in the Clark incident and other similar situations throughout the season. This annoyance is only heightened when a star player like Clark appears to be receiving the short end of the stick. Enhancing officiating and putting player safety first are crucial steps in making sure the league stays competitive and entertaining to watch. But it's not just about fixing what's wrong. It's about creating something better. The WNBA has a fantastic opportunity to learn from these mistakes and implement changes that will benefit the league in the long run. The WNBA must consider how to develop a more viable business plan that doesn't just rely on one or two elite players to generate interest. Investing in the growth of youthful talent and developing more captivating narratives about teams rather than simply individuals are two ways to achieve this. The WNBA has the chance to rethink its marketing strategies at the moment because it seems like the league is too focused on individual players, and when those players are off the court, the excitement fades. Instead, the WNBA needs to concentrate on developing compelling team narratives that keep fans interested throughout the season, even when their favorite players aren't on the court. Caitlin Clark may be the season's breakout star, but there are many other talented players in the league who could help carry the WNBA forward. Let's discuss the WNBA's future. The league is at a turning point, and how they handle this situation now will define how they develop in the future. Even though the playoffs are still in progress, it's obvious that fan enthusiasm has drastically decreased without Caitlin Clark. The WNBA has a chance to regroup and emerge from this season stronger. The key will be learning from this season's mistakes and making the necessary changes to ensure that the league can continue to grow, which includes addressing player safety issues, improving officiating, and finding new ways to market. ESPN's decision to move some playoff games to ESPN2 is a worrying sign for the league because it shows that they don't expect viewership to improve. The league beyond its best players, it also entails keeping up investments in women's basketball's future. As the playoffs progress, it's evident that the WNBA has a lot of work to do, but with the correct adjustments, there's no reason why the league can't emerge from this stronger and better equipped for the future. Caitlin Clark has already demonstrated that there is a sizable market for women's sports, and the WNBA needs to take advantage of that by producing a product that fans want to watch not just because of one player, but because the league as a whole is thrilling and competitive. As we wrap up this video, we want to hear from you about what you think the WNBA should do to improve and how the league can maintain fan interest without relying too heavily on individual players like Caitlin Clark. While the Caitlin Clark effect may have brought attention to some of the league's shortcomings, it also demonstrated the enormous potential for women's basketball to grow. Now, it's up to the WNBA to take that potential and turn it into long-term success. Please share your thoughts in the comment section below, and remember to stay tuned for additional updates as we closely monitor the playoffs and the WNBA's future. You can also subscribe for more news like this.